Hello, Miss Walsh here. So today we're going to talk about vertical and horizontal stretches. So here we have a function, some sort of an f of x, and here we're asked to stretch it by 4 here, and here we're asked to stretch by a quarter. If you think about a table of values, basically what you're doing is you're taking all the resulting y values and you are multiplying them by 4. Okay, so this is going to be a vertical stretch. Here it's going to be a vertical stretch by 4, and then here it's going to be a vertical stretch by a quarter. Okay, so we're going to take all the y values and we're going to multiply them by 4 here, and we're going to multiply them by a quarter here. Okay, a key point for you to remember is that when it's outside the function, then it affects the y values. Okay, so just go ahead and add on to your notes the fact that the transformation is outside the function. Okay, so remember, keep a focus on the y's and not the x values. Okay, if you notice, every step here represents 2 units, so just to be aware of the scale. So the 0 here, 0 times 4 is just 0. This is at 8, so this 8 is going to go to 32, okay? And this negative 8 is going to go to negative 32. And then this is 8 as well, and that's also going to go to 32. You don't need to do any of the ones in between, but once you have stretched it, you can check that each of those values will have also been 4 times as that, okay? So once that's done, then just connect them, in this case by straight lines, and I'm using my line option because me drawing straight lines is just not a pretty sight. Okay, and we're going to drag this all the way there. And then this is going to go all the way there. So hopefully you can see the effect of that stretch there. Okay. We're going to do exactly the same thing here. So looking at the y values, but instead we're multiplying by a quarter. So 0 times a quarter stays as 0. 8 times a quarter, that's like dividing by 4, right? So that'll go down to 2. The negative 8 will go to negative 2, and the positive 8 will go to positive 2. So we are essentially doing exactly the same thing. We just have different values. Okay, and there we go. So as you can see, this this total effect now is a vertical stretch. Vertical stretch by a big number, vertical stretch by a small number, okay? So as opposed to here, notice the difference. So notice that now our number is inside of the bracket, right next to the x's, and it does in fact affect the x values. And it has a funny property when it's inside the function affecting the x values, and that is that we're going to be doing the opposite of the value, the reciprocal of it, okay? So this is going to be a horizontal stretch. But it's not going to be a horizontal stretch by 4. Maybe you already rushed and wrote that, but it's going to be a horizontal stretch by a quarter, okay? As opposed to here, this is going to be a horizontal stretch by 4. The reasoning for it, it's always a little bit strange, but essentially you have this function, so you're keeping the y values the same, but you have a 4 there, and so you now need x values that are a quarter of their size in order to end up with the same y values. As opposed to here, think about all the x values that have been quartered, so you now need them to be 4 times as large to balance out to give the same result for the function. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide the x values by 4 here, and we're going to multiply the x values by 4 here. So you're always doing the opposite. Okay, notice that this is inside the function, and so when it's inside the function, then it affects the x, and when it's outside, it affects the y. Okay, so here, -8 here is going to be -2, that's 0. This is 4, so that 4 is going to go to 1, and that 8 is going to go to 2. Hoi, oi, oi. This is going to be a very squished function. That 0 is going to go to 0. Okay, so it's going to go like this, and like this, and like this. So hopefully you see that the effect was that we sometimes say that it's a horizontal compression by 4. Yeah, so you squished it by 4, or to stretch by a quarter, as opposed to here, the smaller that number, the more you will be stretching out. Okay, let's do it. So -8 will go to -32, and then the 4 will go to 16. So we're multiplying all the x values by 4. The 8 is going to go to 32. Oops, didn't have my line selected on that one, but no matter. And so what you can see is we've now stretched it by 4, okay? So just as a last sentence, remember, inside the x's, outside the y's, okay? I hope that helped. Ciao.